Hello, students of Assam Rifles Public School, Jorhat. Today I'm here with one of the poems from your textbook, that is Keeping Quiet by Pablo Neruda. Now, from this very title of the poem, Keeping Quiet, what do you think the poet must be talking about? He is actually urging everyone to be silent, to be quiet for some time, okay? Think upon all the activities that you've done, that you are planning to do, or that you are doing. Bring a halt for some time and see what changes it will do to you. Now, recently, just before the lockdown, I think there was, you experienced how the entire, the world, not before the lockdown, even now, during the lockdown, we can see that everything is in a standstill. It has come to a standstill. That means everything is in proportion now. Things are not going beyond, neither going too down. But everybody in the world is following the same thing. What they are doing is they are following one common norm of silence. Okay, there is absolute silence. Here in this poem, the poet tells, now we will count up to 12 and we will all keep still. The poet says that he will count up to 12 numbers and let us at least for that moment keep still, keep quiet. Okay? He has asked everyone to keep quiet and introspect. The very meaning of introspect is examination of one's own mental and emotional process. Introspect and retrospect. Survey of past course of events or period of time. So you can write down the meanings from here. For once on the face of the earth, let's not speak in any language. Let us all be quiet. We all speak so many different languages. Let us all be quiet now. Let's stop for 1 second and not move our arms so much. That means let us all become still. Let us all stop moving our arms. Whatever activities we were doing, bring a stop to it. It would be an exotic moment, without rush, without engines. We would all be together in a sudden strangeness. So that is that one common unity which will come to everybody in the world. Okay? Recently when the Prime Minister, the first Sunday before the lockdown, the first Sunday the Prime Minister told everyone to, maintain silence all throughout the day, and at 5 o'clock he had asked everyone to, ring the plates, or the whatever, blow the trumpet or whatever. So that was done, and on that day everybody in India especially, they followed one common thing. And what was that? Silence. And I think this poem is the best example which is defining in today's context. And he says that without rush, without engines, that means without vehicles, without the sound of any machines, it will all be quiet. Fishermen in the cold sea would not harm whales. That means the person who's always, the people who are constantly engaged in, gathering fish from the oceans or the seas and collecting them and buying and selling them. So they would be, still for some time. And the man gathering salt would look at his hurt hands. The one who's always gathering salt. He'll see that, what is this? What has he done to his life? He is constantly working and working and working. So for some time, let him be silent. Those who prepare green wars, okay? Wars with gas, wars with fire. Victory with no survivors. They become, they achieve victory, but are there any survivors? What happens at the end of a war? Nobody survives. Somebody has to die, only then somebody will win. But the thing is, who is actually winning and what are we winning? We are not winning anything. We are only laying down the lives. In the borders also, when our army men, our soldiers, they are fighting every now and then for, in order to protect our country. What do we see? Who is at the loss? It is the lives of the common man which is at the loss. Nothing is gained, nothing is achieved. So, victory with no survivors would put on clean clothes and walk with their brothers in the shade doing nothing. So for one day, if you stop all these things and, walk hand in hand with your brothers, you come together, there is unity, there is togetherness, and you'll walk with your brothers in the shade, you'll absolutely do nothing. Nothing negative. Everything will be positive at that moment. So here the poet says, what I want should not be confused with total inactivity. The poet says that I don't want total inactivity, means I don't want that the whole world or the whole earth should stop. Okay, people should stop their work and not do anything else. Life is what is about. I want no truck with debts. The poet is focusing on the point that let us balance our lives with nature. Let us balance our lives with everything that is around, with our fellow mates, with our relatives, with our friends, with our, the material world, the nature that we have in front of us. Let us all be at par with them. And that's why he says that I don't mean to say there is total inactivity. I just don't want people to die early. I want them to take a break. Okay, and realize that they have a life of their own. They have a common interest, and that common interest is to keep quiet and introspect. That common interest is to understand ourselves, our relationships, because hardly do we get time to spend with our relatives, our friends, isn't it? Because our work schedule is so tight every time. And let us build a peaceful and harmonious world over. We will build a peaceful world only if we have a common purpose. Let us stop all worldly activities for a while. For a while, let us all stop everything and do things that will only bring positivity, that will only remove negativity from the world. And I think this is the best time that we are experiencing it. We all are indoors, we are all quarantined, we are inside our houses for the sake of the betterment of ourselves, for the sake of the betterment of our fellow friends and everybody in the country and in the world. Spend few quiet moments in introspection. Introspect yourself. If we were not so single-minded about keeping our lives moving and for once could do nothing. Every time we are selfish and that is why we are always doing things for our own sake. But the poet here is appealing to the people to stop everything for one day and just think of your own self. Perhaps a huge silence might interrupt this sadness of never understanding ourselves. This huge silence will come upon, and then we will realize that all through our lives we have never understood ourselves. We have never wanted to introspect whether what we really love and what we do not love, and of threatening ourselves with death. Every day we are pressurized with work. We are always pressurizing our own selves with one or the other work. What are we doing? We are moving towards death. One day pass means one day towards death. So this is what the poet is saying, that you can stop this and you can take a break and think about what your likes and dislikes are. Perhaps the earth can teach us. Yes, the earth is our biggest teacher. And I think this is, at this moment of time, we can relate it and say that the earth is actually teaching us a lot of things. That if we make too much use of it, or if we make the negative use of it, definitely it will strike back at us. And what we've been doing from so many years now is happening to us right back. As when everything seems dead and later proves to be alive. Now I'll count up to 12 and you keep quiet and I will go. So at last again the poet is appealing, is actually asking the people to remain silent. He will count up to 12, the numbers from 1 to 12, and at least for that moment be silent. Think about yourself. Think about all the good things in life. Okay, this is what actually the poet is trying to say here in this poem, and very wonderfully There are poetic devices which are used like alliteration. You can find it in words like sudden strangeness, hurt hands, clean clothes, then we would, wars with, all those. Then there is metaphor, put on clean clothes in the shade. Okay. Then repetition is also there, without rush, without engines. That is one repetition that you can find. Imagery is also there, cold sea. That is one imagery. Then antithesis like count to 12 and we will all keep still. Then personification is there, perhaps the earth can teach us. Okay. Normally we have to assume that the earth is a human being and it is teaching us something, but it is teaching us in a natural way, in a way which it can explain it to us. Okay, so this is what I had to say about this poem, and I hope you will read and delve deep into it. If you have any doubt, any problem anywhere, please comment on the box below, and stay safe, stay home, stay healthy.